Jesse, Scott, Katie, Chad, yeah, those, so I was last.
Here's
So,
that party.
there's on page two. So that's just really cool.
Are you ready?
It's a- I could- Yeah. Maybe it was two last time she said I could take it on. She's new, so the person just took over, so I'm sure I think she
Is everyone ready? Good? If you're gonna go, if you're gonna, that's good. They're not self-sufficient.
Get to vote. No, they're not. Just check here, just sign your
We
name.
got it.
Oh, we already have it on.
I mean, we're just talking.
We have to do the top too.
It's just up for discussion.
Discussion.
Well, it's just-
Check. Yeah.
No, Doug's stressing out.
Don't have to go.
All right, let's go ahead. The time is now 7:07 PM, February 25th, 2025. We'll kick off the work session for the Montoursville Area School District Board of Directors with a pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yeah.
All right, Mr. Albert,
Here.
Mr. Badger,
Here.
Mr. Eisenhower,
Here.
Mr. Gardner.
Here.
Mr. Hausnick.
Here.
Ms. McCoy. Here. Mrs. Meyer.
Here.
Mrs. Oberheim.
Here.
Mr. Young.
Here.
All right, before we continue on with the agenda, I just want to let everyone know that we had an executive session prior to this meeting, strictly to talk safety and security within the school district. All right, we have no recognitions and presentations for the evening. We'll go straight to the public comment portion of the agenda. This is for residents and taxpayers. You have 3 unpaused minutes. Get out there. No one in the room. We will check Zoom participants. All right, seeing none, we'll move to the general agenda items for this evening. If everyone's okay with it, we can combine 3.1 through 3.5.
Motion to approve. Second.
Any questions? All right, hearing none, all in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? All right, personnel. Again, I'd like to combine 4.1 and 4.2.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Questions? All right, hearing none, all in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Well,
I just want to welcome back Coach Travis Heap to lead our girls basketball program. We had great success with him his last go around, and we're looking forward to his return and return of that program. So thank you.
all right, moving on to section 5, discussion of future action items. We'll kick it off with 5.1 volleyball as a PIAA sport beginning in the 2025-2026 school year.
So as you know, we've been running this as a club. The intent, I believe, was always to get this up and running then for the fall of the 25-26 school year as an actual sport. So I am planning on bringing that to the next board meeting for your approval. We have worked it into the budget over the course of a year. I see Coach Tom is here, and I'd like to invite him to the podium so you can hear straight from the coach's mouth what has been going on in that program, the numbers in that program, the interest in that program, and the excitement we all have in the district for this particular program.
A little about me, I coach volleyball, it seems like forever, 21 years, Susquehanna University, had the opportunity to coach our women's national Olympic team in Anaheim in 2011. Come from a volleyball family, was really passionate about volleyball, and then retired this time last year and said, I think that'll be it for that. I'm done coaching. I'm looking forward to right off into the sunset. And then Montoursville decided that they were going to start this volleyball thing, and I was like, okay, that's really good, that's fun. And all of a sudden, they were looking for a coach, and they were really pressing hard, and I was taking a heck of a beating on social media, little kids knocking on my door, neighbors reminding me that they signed off, on my garage that I was building. So here I am, back in the saddle again. But it's exciting, and I have a passion for it. I really enjoy teaching it. But one of the concerns that I did have was finding someone who was qualified to coach volleyball. I had to help start a lot of programs, including a lot of our opposition. So I helped start Loyal Sox program, we helped at the South Williamsport, Danville, Lewisburg. So I helped all those programs get started. And I was always worried why it wasn't going on here. I figured it'd be happening here pretty soon, because probably most of you don't know, it's the #1 girls sport in the country, high school sport in the country. By a long shot, everybody thinks it's basketball, like now we passed basketball several years ago and just keep growing. And that is probably not the best thing basketball coaches want to hear, new basketball coaches want to hear. The nice thing about volleyball and basketball girls is they don't overlap at high school level. College level, forget it. At high school level, it's free. So we have some interest from basketball players who are in there, and they've taken some time off of our practice gym to do the basketball thing. We'll be welcoming them back on the 10th. We've been approved to start our practices back up again. As far as the numbers and the excitement goes, it started off with about 65 to 70 for the varsity, not varsity, for the senior high program, 9 through 12. And they stayed pretty true to it, but then other sports started kicking in. And we took a little bit of a break. Once basketball started up, we backed out of the gym, gave it back up and said, sure, let's go here and we'll pick it back up. However, some of those girls weren't satisfied, and I will explain to you how passionate they are. They weren't satisfied with the program just taking a little hiatus for a couple of months and me taking a little break for a couple of months. So they kept on us and they heard about clubs and they want to know about travel clubs and stuff. So I was talking to the coach at Williamsport, who was helping out before earlier, I told you. She decided they were going to start a club. And they would like to have somebody else come in and help start the club. I said, no, she heard yes. So now I'm coaching at the club level, and it's a travel ball club. And 5 of our girls are on that club. And I would have never told them to go for a club, especially with how limited nobody here really has ever touched a volleyball, played volleyball, under a gym class where they tell you to hold your hand like that, and that's totally wrong in the first place. We have some real excitement that has brewed in the community for the game. These girls are playing on a 17U team, so just like soccer, 17U, 17 and under. Only one 17. We got a 17, a 16, 2 15s, and a 14. And they're playing against national teams. We've been going to all these places. They have got the fever now because they got the taste of what it's like to be in a gym where we went to small tournaments where there were only like 40 teams. The ones we didn't go to were like in DC, where there are 140 courts, 4 teams on each court, 2 waves a day for 3 days. Right? So that's what they're looking for on the club level now. To get them there, they got to get the high school thing going too, because it's awfully hard to walk a kid into a club and go, okay, let's play volleyball, because they'll just get cut right out. So that was a nice part about being able to start that club. One of the conditions I had with working it is I get them on tourism kids. I don't care how good or how bad they are, I get one tourism kids. She said yes, so we've been good with that. Now, I don't know what our numbers are going to look like, but I know they stayed steady around 30 all through the fall. And then I just kicked off the junior high program this week. So I started them up on a group meet. Right now, they're looking at about 65 to 70 kids right now. So that's 7th and 8th grade. Right, I don't think that includes it, right, get 7th. and
Yep.
And they are hungry, they're beating at my door, I might have made a mistake by hitting that trigger so fast, because they're just ringing my phone all night long on a little group meow. But I think that they are really looking forward to it. Now, I don't expect those numbers to stay. Because it's sport, and right now, I am the most loved coach in Montoursville, I love it. If this gets approved, and I'm hoping that it will get approved as a varsity or high school sport. The junior high sport, we're hoping to keep that as a club sport, run it in the spring. The varsity sport is in the fall, it'll be varsity, junior varsity. I really hope that we get that going and voted on. We're a little bit behind the 8 ball as far as getting scheduling and things going, but we're ahead of the 8 ball as far as getting these kids trained. And now we're gonna start training for the next couple of months again, so when the ball comes, I think they'll be in a good situation. What I can assure you is our kids will have a much higher volleyball IQ from the starting blocks than any other program that has started in the past, which should give them a leg up.
How does it work? Like, if someone is really good and they're in 7th or 8th grade, are you able, like, in some other sports, you're able to like bring them up? You know, can you do?
No,
No,
not in high school. They have to wait till they get to high school.
okay,
And then they can come up from 9 to the varsity. They can
Yeah.
work some of that. We can't pull them up from the.
You can't pull them up from
from
middle school.
Or junior high up into the varsity program.
gotcha, thank you.
But I think it's important that we have a junior high program to feed the varsity program. So
Mhm.
give them life, you know? I think that's a really good thing for the program and for the school.
Are there other schools in the district that have a junior high?
There are a number of
Teams.
junior high programs, and from what I understand, most of them remain club and run in the spring. And I've been in touch with all of those folks trying to get that going, because we'd like to schedule some things for those folks too. Right, and now compete against each other, there's enough of them to make a bunch of teams, but we'd like to also work on something, but I don't want to do that unless I know, like, I know the junior high can do that because they're doing club. But we're trying to work out the whole varsity thing, that gets a little tricky, because the PHAC has a 2-year scheduling, and they're in, the fall will be year number 2. So we're not in that, but I think some of those schools will fit us in. And I think that if we're approved, I think we have a good shot at hosting the opening PHAC tournament, which would be really amazing for the girls, for the school. I think it would be a good opportunity to get Montoursville volleyball on board with the rest of the PHAC and get people's attention.
I just wanna say-
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I just want to say thank you. I watched you get harassed on social media and kept my fingers crossed. So I didn't interject. I felt like you were getting it from all sides. No, I was happy. I was rooting for them. But I want to say thank you so much, because I've heard from so many girls. I have a 6th grade girl who plays soccer, but is very excited to go into 7th grade. So I have a bunch of youngins that are really happy. And I just want to thank you so much for
Thank you for having.
coming out of retirement and helping us out. Your small retirement.
I feel like Tom Brady.
You sort of.
Well, we expect you to win like Tom Brady now too.
Yeah, you must,
7 rings, that's all you need, and you can roll out.
You can say
No, you.
length of a match.
length of a match?
Yes.
Are we talking time?
Yes.
It depends.
Yeah.
They've gone to rally scoring a whole bunch of years ago. So the game ends when the score hits 25 if they win by 2. But it is for the varsity, it's the best out of 3. So you got to play 3 games to 25. If you go to a 5th game, then that game is only to 15.
And the college is best of 5.
Same as high school. Yeah. But junior varsity is best of 3.
Okay.
Yeah. So you look a couple hours.
All right.
How many players on a team overall? Cause I heard there's like 90-something girls that when I come to it.
Question to ask you.
So I'm sure they're all not gonna be able to play, but
Because, well, so if we're talking high school, and I did, this is my first run at girls' high school. I'm talking to some of my other folks, and they said 24 is a good number to run junior varsity and varsity. For me, when I ran college, it's 16. We didn't want to go over 16. However, in the college world today, administrators want 20, 30 of them, you know, and it's like, yeah, okay, I'll get them. You manage the drama, they never do. So yeah. 24
Fortunately, you don't have that
But
issue.
that depends, you know, you got 25 great kids. Why not take 25? Or you got like a couple of freshmen that have some potential to grow quickly, but they're outside of the. You know, it would be. I have another.
Yes, if you did a tournament here, like the PHAC tournament that you were talking about, how many courts would you need?
Two.
Because right now we have one, right?
With two.
We have two?
Mhm.
Thank you.
Yeah, you can run, we would have to tape out the lines a little bit
Mhm.
on the court, which is easy, I've done that my whole career.
Yeah.
2 courts.
I bet you have, yeah.
I can tape out a court in about 15 minutes.
Okay. But we have everything you need.
We have, I will tell you this,
Okay,
you have the best equipment of any school that I've been to yet high school.
okay.
You have the carbon fiber poles, they're gonna last 100 years.
Uh-huh,
The nets obviously are gonna wear out eventually.
sure.
One thing you gotta do better on is balls, because we went, I guess, the ball, so. I'm just gonna shoot from the hip.
Mm,
The balls that we have are not conducive for training kids that play volleyball with the kind of volleyball they're going to use. These are a little bit, pushing, and they're not pushing in high school. So, you know, and volleyballs are a little pricey, but they last a long time.
yeah,
And unlike basketballs, we need a little bit more than, you know, I don't know how many basketball teams have, but. You know, that's probably the biggest issue that I see is we have to get more volleyball. Because you got a lot of balls going and you don't want to be chasing it all practice on with one ball.
yeah,
Now you spend a third of your practice just shagging the ball.
okay. Well, good. I'm glad to hear that you have most of the things you need. That's great.
Well, it's more than you even wish for. In there.
Yeah, and the carbon fiber was purposeful. They're young ladies, we have a young lady, because phys ed classes use them too. They're much easier to handle than the steel and even some of the aluminum. We got the steel ones in and it took 3 maintenance guys to move them. They are heavy and there is no way. I watch girls try and set that up
And the culture
every
of
night and take
volleyball
it down, so.
Is that the students
Yes.
set the nets and stuff up for practice, right?
Yep.
It's not like basketball where you turn the key and the basket comes down. There's work to put them up.
Yeah.
There's work to put them down. And I think that having them do that also builds them as a person, right? I'm not here to win games, right? I'm here to help develop young people to be contributing, positive contributors to society. How do we do that? Well, more than just learning how to pass the ball. We teach them how to, you're responsible for, okay, I gotta set the net up, I gotta take the net down. So, having the carbon fiber pole, one, it's gonna last you forever, which is good. And, 2, it allows the kids to do things without me being concerned, without me having to do it too. They were heavy. Yeah.
They were ridiculous. It's unbelievable. So,
Anything else?
You run scuba club? Did you used to? Did you?
Scuba?
Yeah, did you used to run scuba club down there, Susquehanna? No. Sorry, wrong person.
That's okay. I'm
We're gonna have a conversation later, but disregard. I'll start it, okay?
All right, anything
sore
else?
subject.
Thank you.
Sore subject.
Folks, thank you for your time. I hope.
Thank
get
you.
Voted in soon and we'll keep the rolling.
Yeah, thank you for answering all of our
Thank you.
questions.
So look for that March 11th and it will come with a recommendation to approve from me. The second thing, we actually have 2 more. One isn't on there. We have the budget, which we'll finish with. The second thing came from Mr. Eisenhower. Additional background checks, and I think specifically you were talking social media.
Yeah,
We could just have a discussion on that, what your thinking is and
well,
what.
where
flavor
this
is of the
comes
board.
from is, I get one question real quick.
Yep.
Have you ever seen where you've had a school board implement a new policy where the entire school board approved it? And then administration totally approved it, but then you have teachers being insubordinate and refusing to abide by it, encouraging students to go to the bathroom to access their phone. Has that ever happened?
I have seen and witnessed that happen.
Okay. Well, I don't want that to happen again. I want teachers who have their heads in the game, I would say the great majority of our teachers are outstanding teachers and stuff. They want to have their classrooms free from distractions, but I think we have a small group of teachers, whether they're young ones, I don't know. But I don't want to see it happen again. So whatever we can do to prevent it from happening again, whether it's screening our applicants a little better. I know it's hard to get teachers and all employees, but if there's something we can do better to get to know these people before we hire them, that would be great.
Yeah,
But, and one other thing, and I hope these teachers here, please listen to us, okay? I kind of take it as a slap in the face when the board approves a very favorable contract, and then we have a group of teachers basically doing whatever they want to. Slap in the face. So I will remember that, and I hope to find out the names of the teachers who have been violating this policy. And I encourage people to come forward with those names because they will be held accountable, which that's what I like to talk about also. How can we hold them accountable? Their punishment for violating cell phone policy should be a lot more severe than the students. They're supposed to be setting an example, and some of them are not doing that.
well, we talked about, I mean, I mentioned it, people not complying and teachers not complying, like. Kind of like when I was a corrections officer, some people would let, inmates do certain things and others wouldn't. And you have to everybody has to follow the rules and be on the same page. And unfortunately, like in any organization or school's not any different other than, of course, they're not inmates, they're students and we're thankful for them. However, we can't allow that.
Yeah, I guess this irritates me quite a bit because we all sitting here, we all know the negatives of social media and cell phone uses. We know the stats. We've looked at them. We've had parents come up here, rattle off opposites that they're just so great. And it's only because they're worried about only their kid. And we're worried about all of them. So whatever we can do. Mr. T, what do we do now for screening? Like what type of background? Just have a
We
company do a generic
do,
one?
we do, of course, they have the standard clearances. We do social media checks. One that we had been skipping, but's been added to the list is LinkedIn. And
Know why that happened.
well, yeah, and the more I watch
Someone
that,
missed it.
the more I watch
Now we have
that,
Sharon and Brenda.
the more I watch LinkedIn, the more I'm seeing,
Oh, yeah.
it being used more as a platform too. So,
So when
Yeah,
we're doing social
paying
media,
attention.
I'm sorry.
yep.
Are they giving us their passwords so we have access to it? then?
No, I don't
Just
think
go
we
with
have
the
a
public.
right to ask
Yeah,
for
I don't
that, and there's some First Amendment things we have to.
Yeah, I know there's some privacy.
We have to pay attention to, but we search for the stuff they have that out there in public.
All right, so you are doing it already.
We are.
LinkedIn is everything's public. There's no way to put that private. I think that's why it's easier to see stuff. Like, obviously, you get the
Yeah.
Facebook, Twitter, or X is more public, right? Anything you put out there is public.
Because the thing is,
Facebook, you can, and I understand that with Facebook because people have kids, they have stuff that, and so you can go and see what you can see on that. But you can do a quick, easy, just look, there's.
problem is if you're not friends with the person, you're not gonna
Just on-
find a whole lot.
Just on Facebook.
You know what I mean? I'm
Just
saying
on-
like over all the platforms, if you run a whole social media, unless you're connected to them, you're not gonna see a whole lot.
No, on both X
we're not-
and LinkedIn, you will. Like
In LinkedIn, yeah,
LinkedIn's
yeah.
easy, I was gonna say, and to be honest, a lot of people, especially if in your professional environment, use it. And it's pretty, it's pretty easy to look and see what's going on, they are using it a lot more. Which we found out,
A lot more.
we found out.
As far as the policy and holding folks accountable, no, I don't have names, but, I think you were copied on the email that went out, that it was to be, the expectation was that it would be enforced. That I haven't heard as an issue, anymore. And,
Well,
when I'm in the buildings, I don't see, the phones out. So
And there's gonna be
there's,
cheating, there's gonna be students cheat and
There's
teachers
going
will
to
cheat,
be.
but
There's
teachers
going
need to know that if we find out you're cheating on something like this is the mental health of our kids. If you're gonna cheat on this policy, I don't want you teaching here. Can I fire you? Absolutely not. You have a union, but if I can prevent any other teachers like you from being hired here, I will. Okay, so do not violate the policy.
Yeah, and there are steps we can take if they do. They're not fun, but, we have done it and we'll continue to do that, through documentation and what we need to do. I wanted to point out, as well in the update that I did send you, I pulled some discipline numbers since we've implemented the cell phones. We've gone down to 0 incidents of harassment and bullying in the high school. Because the majority of those were over phones, so we're at 0 since in 2025.
Who was the student that spoke last time with McKenna?
McKenna, yes.
Yeah. If anybody has any qualm about cell phones and why we should ban them, they need to listen to that board meeting and listen to that young lady.
Yeah.
That was phenomenal. She thought of things that I hadn't.
Yep. And overall, discipline at the high school is down by almost 6%, and at the middle school, it may not feel like it, Mrs. Albert, but it's dropped 37.8% based on the data in our
You just get all.
And you got a bunch of hoodlums out there.
in our system, so. I'm hoping to have a little more of an academic picture that we can put together. And it's been effective and it continues to work, so.
Well, eight states have already, the state legislature have stopped it. New York's considering it right now. I think if New York goes, Pennsylvania will follow.
And then we're already positioned. As we were with the armed security as well. That's now required and we already have it, so. Yeah,
I'm completely off topic, but you brought up like educational stuff. Do we have like, we implemented iReady, obviously,
Yes.
and did the new science programs. Do we have readouts on how iReady is working? As far as how the kids are doing? Do we have like, I know that was. part of the
state
program
assessments, no, but I do have great diagnostic data.
From iReady.
From
That's what-
iReady,
That's
yes.
what I was asking,
Yes.
because I know that was one of the big
Which-
things reasons that we looked at iReady, and I just was wondering
Yes,
from the reporting of iReady. how
it
it's
moves
doing.
kids. I can get that put together.
Thank you. And I know science is probably a little too soon. 'cause
That's
it's
too
its
soon.
First full year.
And
but-
the other issue with that is going to be that the science test has moved from 4th to 5th. And then we also have they've kept it at 8th. So we will be testing 5th and 8th in science on the new standards. The test is a field test this year and won't show up or count for anything as they build the test.
And I'm
So,
gonna be bluntly honest with you, when I tell you I don't care about standardized, I wanna like look at the program and see how our kids are doing. I hate standardized testing. I don't think it's.
Yeah, it's a
I
snapshot.
hate it. I literally hate that we have to teach to the test.
Yep.
I literally cannot say more things about how much I dislike that. Level of teaching and why schools are, and it's not anyone in this building fault, it's what's forced down the necks, but I hate it. So that's why I'm asking more from a program standpoint to truly see, because you can have kids that are horrible at standardized tests. You can have kids that, the standardized test doesn't count toward their grade. I may have one of those at my house and just goes through and does what he does.
Yep.
And so that's why, sorry, I got a kid dragging down our score. But, so that's why I sort of just like,
No, it's
so
a-
it's more, I like across the academic year, what are, our literacy rates and stuff like that from the programs that we're choosing to invest in, which also show reporting, like that's part of why we purchase them and spend the amount of money. So that's the type of thing that I'm sort of looking at is how are these programs benefiting? Are they? Because we look at essential math or whatever that was a debacle. And
Everyday math.
Everyday math. Try to blank it from my mind. So I just sort of, as we went down this whole, I heard
Bravo.
you say, well, it was the whole cell phone and how they're doing academically, and I've been meaning to bring it up and I keep forgetting because there's like 50 others.
Yeah, I can do March work session.
Thank you.
I can do some iReady diagnostic. I will have that. All right. And then Governor's budget address. While that's being handed out, I don't know if you all saw the report from the Attorney General's office on cyber schools. They've increased their funds by 144% in the last few years. It's an interesting read. CCA, they flagged for having 21 buildings and renovations. I'm hoping it's part of the conversation in the budget process in Harrisburg, and that the cap is being talked about again, where they cap cyber costs at 8,000 is the number they're putting out now. So hopefully that gains some traction and we can beat the lobby. But it was the timing of the release of that. It's been sat on for a while. The timing of the release, I thought was very interesting. We're taking that down and
That's the whole thing.
that's the whole.
Also why he passing these out, you have your ballot for, the IU. If you would fill that out so you can give that to me before you leave tonight so that I can send those all on to the IU.
That's like for you.
So you made me bring my book.
And didn't think you.
I
Luckily
printed
she knows where
12.
to find you.
That's okay. I have a really.
Someone might have a double copy.
I have a really good sticker.
I think they doubled
I hope
up and
it's
she
me.
said that they're all.
I'm gonna read them all.
No.
So someone might have an extra one. Cause I did do 12, so that's very odd.
I put it under proposed budget.
I'll let you use, and you can put that under the revenue information, cause this is
Oh.
revenue
Oh,
information.
I put it in the-
Proposed budget.
I.
So this is just an overview of Governor Shapiro's budget address that took place at the beginning of February. A high level overview, $75 million increase to basic education funding, a $40 million increase to special education funding, $526 million increase to adequacy and equity, $100 million increase to safety and security grants, $125 million to public school facility improvement grants, $5.5 million increase to CTCs, and $14.6 million increase to early intervention. So what I'm just gonna cover really tonight are the first three. I just did want to touch a bit on the rest of them because they do have some sort of impact on us in one way or another. Safety and security grants, as you know, we use those to purchase things we need for safety and security, so we will obviously be applying for those as they become available. The public school facilities improvement grants, we are waiting to find out if they are using that money to fund applications that have already been received, or if they're looking for new applications. We are watching that every day, because if it's for new applications, obviously we are going to be applying right away, and we have heard conflicting things. Some groups are saying it's going to be new ones, and some groups are saying, oh, it's funding. So that's really up in the air right now.
May I just add, Site Logic, who is still on board with us, they have us at the top of the list to go after these funds. If and when they're ready.
So that was gonna be my question, is there can you submit your application now before everything's done? No.
No.
Okay.
No, because the question is whether they had so many last time, whether they're going to use the new money to just fund those, or if they're going to put it out for new applications. But Site Logic will be ready to go if it's new.
And if it's set for specific things too, we don't have the parameters of them, the grants yet either. The increase to CTCs, that impacts us with our local Lycoming CTC. And early intervention is Head Start and those kind of programs, and that obviously impacts our community because kids get services before they come here. in kindergarten, and that helps us be better prepared for them as they do enter, kindergarten, especially when they have some needs. That's just a high level overview of what's being proposed. This isn't what's approved. This is what is proposed. So this is what we're starting with. So you also see here that I have put this in the slideshow, but then I also provided you with the sheet that's from the Pennsylvania Department of Education, and it's clearly marked that it's from February of 2025. I had limited it just down to Lycoming County. I figured you didn't want to see all 500 school districts. So you can see how it impacts us all in the county. Right now, what was proposed is a $63,404 increase, which is a 0.75% increase in basic education funding. The only one that's receiving over a whole percentage in increasing in our county is Loyalsock Township School District. But as you can see, most of us are in the 0.7 range there. So that's basic ed funding. The special ed funding, you'll see there that there is an increase of $22,953, which is 1.48% increase. And here, if you look in the county, it's up and down all over. And a lot of that is done by the number of special education students you have overall in your district with your total population. So ours is the lowest increase in the county there. So then if we look at adequacy and equity, here our foundation has added the additional that we received last year. So that what we received last year, in addition to what we had previously had for our Ready to Learn block grant, was the $583,952.60. So they are proposing to give us the same amount to all the districts again this year as they did last year. So that will then increase our Ready to Learn block grant to $1,434,646. So that's where our large increase is. Last year when we were looking at this money, we were thinking it was coming in as basic education funding. And instead they've put it into the Ready to Learn block grant. So they are proposing that same increase for all the school districts that received it last year. Proposed tax equity supplement, we don't qualify for that. I think there's 20 in the state, but there's not a lot of school districts that receive that. So that's overall what we're looking at. So proposed total increase so far is $670,310 for your state funding. So now we need to plan. How are we going to plan for this moving forward in the budget? What do we budget for basic ed funding? What do we budget for special education funding? And what do we budget for adequacy equity? My philosophy prior to last year was we'd always level funded everything. Last year, we, with the board's direction, we moved forward and we included some of this in our budget. And glad we did, because we did end up receiving it. And it's hard to keep level funding when it looks like we're going to get something, because we don't want to increase taxes if we don't need to. So you have to find that fine line. So I would like for you guys to have discussion on what you would like to see in the budget. So as I'm preparing the budget, I can plan for that. So I'm not bringing you something and you guys are coming back and saying, no, we want to include that. So I thought this was a good time to have these discussions as we work through things. So what's everyone's thoughts on some of those? Anyone? Jen, Claudia?
So no, I was just gonna say, I think we go with based off proposed, right? And go from that point, like from the standpoint of where we're at for 2025. So if it's the increase of 670, then we go off that 11,528 and hope maybe. And hope maybe they do something with the cyber school. That would make
So when is the last time that as a district, we haven't been in the red at the end of the budget year?
We're always in the red.
Okay.
At the end of, like, after, when we're preparing the budget, we
I'm
always.
saying at the end, when we're,
So-
when it's all said and done and you set your budget and next year comes around, what's those numbers like?
So we usually come out positive. This year it was 21,000. It was very close this year. The year prior to that, it was a larger amount, but the board had made the decision to move that money over into capital. So we had made plans for that when we saw the money that we were receiving. It's a fine line on how you plan it. It's
You
the
never know
direction
what
you
you're
guys
gonna,
wanna go.
you never know what you're gonna end up popping up and having kids leave and end up paying for them going to school somewhere else or cyber charter, right? You don't know any of those things.
That's always, kids can leave tomorrow.
That's right, but I'm just saying though, when those things happen, no different than building projects, those kind of things. I think it's important that we implement those strategies looking ahead. You know, and make sure that for the future that we're taking care of.
That's why we have the budgetary reserve also.
I understand.
So we keep that into our budget. And I think policy is a minimum of 3%, or is it 2%?
It's two.
I have it in my,
It's a point something, it's like a 265 or 2.48, like it's a point something.
so we keep that and it can be up to a maximum of 10%. So you can make that higher or lower depending on where you feel you're gonna go. That helps or just makes it more confusing.
Because we had a little bit of a sting of that last year when we did what we did,
Mhm.
and threw people up in arms, so. I think it's important to stay ahead of it.
So would you guys like to see me include these in the budget, or would you like to see me exclude them in the budget?
I say include.
Include?
Not that.
That's what I would say too.
And then, sometimes we get updated numbers in May. And then I could update them. The last year or two, we haven't received them because the budget process has been very slow. So, at the state level. So,
It'll be slow this year because there's so much on there that they're gonna find about. I can guarantee you that.
so we might not have that.
It's always fun to do a budget when you don't know what your budget is.
We have healthy fund balance. I'll say, because we do have a healthy fund balance, I'm comfortable with whatever you all decide. Because of our fund balance. But we have to know it might not come in where we think.
Are you comfortable with, so you're comfortable with adding that in the budget?
With our fund balance where it is, yes. If we didn't have the fund balance we have, I would not be.
I'm gonna say you came within $21,000 an hour last
That
year.
was a record,
I'm
okay?
just saying,
I don't ever expect that
I
again.
have a lot of faith in your ability to
Kind of
get,
expect it now.
Yeah.
anything over 21,000 is a fail.
So I'm going to put these in then as I'm budget planning and putting everything together. Okay. Yes, okay. So any other questions on budget process, where we're at, like, nothing? Okay, I will keep moving forward with that. I will have another presentation for you at the work session in March. So, and we'll move forward from there. We're on schedule. And don't forget to give me these before you leave, please. Thank you.
I can read your vote for in each area, just one,
Why?
You can mark all of them.
Just mark all of them, John.
everyone.
Yeah. You just have to vote.
We're gonna
because
like
it
one.
represents the whole region, so there's.
Then you
like-
don't vote.
gonna vote for all of them.
We should do the
Just to
same.
let
The
them
people
know.
all get on it. Just drop it.
Can you put a check mark?
That's what I did.
Only put 2 checks.
Okay.
You can do whatever you want.
And don't put it on.
Yeah, we were all like,
Numerals.
should
Can
we
you
just
do
vote for
numerals?
one in each category? We're not sure.
I think we should all choose one and not vote for it. And be like, what the heck, man?
I need an eraser.
All right, that's it for discussion of future action items, yes? Got it all?
Yes, thank you.
All right, back to public comment. 3 unpaused minutes. Anybody in the crowd there? Jack, you good?
Can I give one public comment to Jack to say, Jack, thanks for constantly pushing the volleyball. I have to say thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I came in and suggested it went pretty slow.
It's true. You were very instrumental.
Mine from the quarter, it's not my, you know, it's fine, the court was.
Yeah.
Always much. I want to say Brad Deacon tried to introduce this way back when, but he got nowhere, but he at least gave it a shot.
Well, I want to thank you for pushing on multiple occasions, Jack. So I just want to give you a hats off. So thanks both of you out there for involving.
You called me out directly in several meetings.
Yes.
Keep
So
up
wait
the
on.
great
I
work,
should thank you
Jack.
a little bit too, but really.
I say we make him the volleyball mascot.
So when anybody ever comes up to me and says, we can't afford to put on this volleyball team and the budget and do all that, I just tell them, go talk to Jack Kelly.
And when we get the mascot, which corner of the building is it gonna go in? That's what we want to know.
Are we?
Yeah, all right. So no more public comment in the room. We'll go to Zoom. If anyone is interested, please raise
How
your
many
hand.
people we have joining us tonight?
The usual.
3.
7,000.
One is the attorney.
All right, hearing none, now we'll move to adjourn. Take a motion to approve.
Motion approved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Greedy. Why do you always have to be the one second?
That's it.
Thank you, everyone.
Greedy.
Maybe separate.
Why don't you give other board members a chance?